Someday at Christmas, men won't be boys, playing with bombs like kids play with toys. One warm December, our hearts will see a world where men are free. Someday at Christmas, there'll be no wars, when we have learned what Christmas is for. When we have found what life's really worth, there'll be peace on earth. Someday all our dreams will come to me. Someday the world where men are free. Maybe not in time for you and me, but someday at Christmas time.
I'm Tavis, Smiley. That's Stevie Wonder. One of my favorite Christmas albums, Stevie. He did that thing back in the 60s, I think. And it's, every year we still playing Stevie. I tease Stevie about them royalty checks coming in. You do one album and it just keeps. Quincy Jones told me years ago, ain't no money like music money, Miles, because music money don't stop. Music money you make, Quincy put it, music money is vertical and horizontal. You make it when you're standing up, and you make it when you're laying down sleeping. Ain't no money like music money. Music money don't stop. I ain't mad at Stevie with this Christmas album all these years later, and we're still playing it. It is the season. In this final hour today, two conversations as promised on the backside of this hour. Cecil Brown, UC Berkeley professor Richard Pryor's longtime friend and collaborator, celebrates the life and legacy of the GOAT, who passed away this week 20 years ago. We'll celebrate Richard Pryor on the backside of this hour. But we commenced this hour with filmmaker Eva Aridjis Fuentes on her documentary, Goodbye Horses, The Many Lives of Q Lazzarus. Q Lazzarus, a black female rock performer, a mysterious singer, best known for her haunting track in the Silence of the Lambs film, directed, of course, by Jonathan Demme. Jonathan Demme sort of discovered her and championed her and connects her, of course, to his project Silence of the Lambs, for which Jonathan Demme wins the Academy Award. He won the Academy Award for directing Silence of the Lambs. So here's a clip now of Q Lazzarus recounting meeting one Jonathan Demme.
I picked up Jonathan Demme around the 50s and 40s on the west side, and we were going uptown. He got in the car, him and another man. They were in deep conversation, but I wasn't paying attention to the conversation because I was working on my music. I would sing a few lyrics, you know. You know, so I want to hear it. So the car went quiet. And then I said, I'm working on a song to you guys. And John says, go right on ahead. It sounds good. I like it. And when I jumped off, he said, my name is Jonathan Demme, and I'm a director. And here's my card. So I called his assistant up, and she said, send me your tape. And I did. Like 6 months later, she called me back, and she said, Jonathan wants to use one of your songs. That was on the tape in the movie, and I was delighted.
I was hoping you'd show up tonight.
Why don't you get out?
I've been looking for you.
It pays to have friends. I mean, your friends are people named Jonathan Demme. You're in the right space. I mentioned earlier that Jonathan Demme was my dear friend, and I miss him dearly. Jonathan and I did a number of documentaries together, and so just hearing his name it makes me grateful for my friendship and for having known him for all those years. And I'm pleased now to welcome Eva Aridjis. Hey.
Good, Tavis. How are you? Thanks so much for having me.
Hey, it's good to have you on. If I complained, I'd be great. I'm doing okay. I'm glad to be in conversation with you. Let me just start right quick with this. I got about 2 or 3 minutes here now. We'll continue when we come forward. But the next 2 or 3 minutes, I want to just make sure that the audience is with us, and we'll talk about Jonathan and this relationship, this friendship that he had with Q Lazzarus, and how she got on the film and all that stuff in a second here. But I guess why don't we start with the basic question about Q Lazzarus? Who was Q Lazzarus? Let's start there.
So Q Lazzarus, her real name was Diane Lucky, and she was from Neptune, New Jersey, and she grew up singing in a Baptist church, very musical family. And she moved to New York when she was 18. Always wanted to be a singer, and was driving cabs, yellow taxis, to pay her rent. But she was already making music with friends and living in the East Village. And that's when this fateful car ride was, where she picked up Jonathan Demme one evening. So out of that, she was playing her music in the car. He heard her voice, which was very powerful, quite androgynous, and he fell in love with her voice, and he put her music in his next 4 movies, which was Something Wild, Married to the Mob, Silence of the Lambs, the most famous song of hers, Goodbye Horses, plays during the very famous, Buffalo Bill dress-up scene, and then finally Philadelphia, where she has a cameo singing at a Halloween party.
Yeah, that's Tom Hanks and Denzel. In Philadelphia, of course. So when we come forward here, thank you for that. I want to just make sure we're on the same page here about who we're talking about here. Now we'll get into the story. When we come forward, I want to start by asking you what attracted you to this. Why did the story of Q Lazzarus so fascinate you that you went in search of it to do a documentary film about her? I'm always fascinated by the backstory, as this audience knows. So we'll start there when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Generous listening. Charitable listening. It's why everybody wants to talk to Tavis. The conversation continues when we come forward.
KBLA Talk 1580 congratulates Malik Books on celebrating 35 years in business.
It's a celebration.
Malik Books proudly houses one of the largest African American and diverse children's books in the nation. This is the perfect time to pick up holiday reads, meaningful gifts, and to support literacy in our community. For 35 years, Malik Books Black Book Revolution, uplifting stories that heal, inspire, and transform, one reader at a time. Change your thoughts, change your life. Books are the gift that keeps giving. From all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, congratulations to Malik Books on 35 years of culture, pride, and community.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you can receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Nugget Bills, nuggets all the way.
Hi, I'm Kylie.
I'm John.
And I'm Garrison.
And a little thing we love about the 30-count Chick-fil-A nuggets
is sharing them when we cut down the Christmas tree.
We will pack the car with gifts, and of course, we go and pick up our family's favorite nuggets.
Every nugget is tasty times quadrillion.
And we get all the sides.
Yeah, the ooey gooey mac and cheese is a big hit.
Share the nuggets, share the joy. Order the 30-count Chick-fil-A nuggets on the Chick-fil-A app. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Charmin Ultra Strong. You can use less, better than the rest. Charmin Ultra Strong. Booty past the clean test. Diamond weight texture, it's the best. Study up, teach a lesson on fresh. Your booty past the clean test. Charmin Ultra Strong.
Charmin Ultra Strong with diamond weave texture cleans better than the leading one-ply brand, so you can use less. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
Sometimes you fail to fit in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed with filmmaker Eva Aridjis Fuentes. Her documentary is called Goodbye Horses, The Many Lives of Q Lazzarus. And Q Lazzarus, fascinating sister, passed away in 2022, as I recall. Her real name was Diane Lucky. But the story of how she met Jonathan Demme and how she got in not just Silence of the Lambs, but 3 other Jonathan Demme films on the soundtrack and making a cameo again in Philadelphia, as you heard Eva say a moment ago. All of this and more made her an interesting subject for Eva, and Eva went in search of this story. Tell me why, Eva.
So right after, Jonathan Demme tried to help her get a record deal. He took her to LA, And she was unsuccessful getting a record deal. She went to London. She had a band there for 7 years. Couldn't get a deal there either. She was at that point. She'd sort of moved away from Goodbye Horses, which is more new wave, and she was wanting to do more rock. And if you can believe it, she was, she felt that people weren't supporting her because she was a black woman wanting to do rock and roll, which is ridiculous because African Americans invented rock and roll. So she came back to the U.S. in the early 90s to be in the film Philadelphia, and then she completely vanished for 25 years. So not even her best friend, her bandmates knew what had happened to her. Some of them thought maybe she was dead. So I knew a bit about her story, and I love the song Goodbye Horses. I used to DJ a lot, and I'd always play it. And then in 2019, I'd always wondered what had happened to her. There was a lot of speculation on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2019, I called like an Uber to go from my apartment in Brooklyn to Manhattan, and she was my driver, and I recognized her. I figured out that it was her.
Oh.
So
let me jump in right quick. Let me jump in real quick. So she's been gone for over 2 decades now.
Mm-hmm.
You call for a ride. She happens to be the driver. How, after all that time, did you so immediately, in a relatively short car ride, figure out that she was who she was?
Well, so there were a few clues. Obviously, she was the right age. I knew she'd been a taxi driver in the 80s, so it wasn't crazy to think maybe she'd gone back to that.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest clue maybe was I had read an article where they in Dazed and Confused magazine where they said, what happened to Diane Lucky? And there was a Diane Lucky living in Staten Island, and they went to this house and knocked on the door, and, they didn't find her. But I'd read that article. And when I got into her Uber, her GPS wasn't working, and we got to Flatbush Avenue, which is a very big street in Brooklyn, and she started going sort of in the opposite direction of Manhattan. And I said, we're supposed to make a left on Flatbush. And she said, I don't know what that is, baby. You tell me, this is your town. And I said, well, where do you live? And she said, Staten Island. She also was playing, she had a whole collection of CDs. She wasn't listening to the radio. She had her own music collection.
Mm-hmm.
And she was playing Neil Young, and we were sort of singing together, and I probably also recognized her voice.
Mm.
So at some point I asked her if she had ever heard of Lazzarus, and just to see how she'd react. And she said, yeah, I've heard of her, and she changed the subject. But then when I was about to get out of the car, she turned and said, nice to meet you, Eva. I'm Q.
Mm. What do you make of the fact that in that moment, initially, she did not want to cop to being who she was? But you gave her an on-ramp, and she refused to take it. What do you make of that?
First of all, I think she was extremely surprised.
Mm-hmm.
I think I caught her off guard. She had also been, off the grid for 25 years by choice. So I think it took her a moment to decide that, she was going to, obviously, I gave her my number. She called me. Then we went and had lunch. We started talking. We decided to do the film. So, the process from when I met her to when we started filming was a couple of weeks. But it took her a minute to decide that she was going to come back out, into the world. And
I'm sorry. Why you think why she vanished? What she told you about her being off the grid for over 2 decades. Put a pin in that for a second. We'll come right back to that. First, I want to ask first, Eva, how you have processed that someone that you've been in search of, someone you were curious about, would just mysteriously pop up as your Uber driver, Uber, Lyft, whatever it was. Like all this time later, how do you process that actually happened?
Well, we both felt that it was fated, that the universe brought us together, and for her whole the fact that this happened to her twice. Like, she was sort of discovered by a filmmaker in a cab in '87, and then 32 years later, she was rediscovered by another filmmaker in a cab. Unfortunately, it wound up being people in the film industry that really supported her more than anyone in the record industry. I do think that it was fated. And she also had a dream the night that she picked me up that she was performing and I was there. And so she called me the next day and told me this, and then we met up for lunch.
What did she tell you about why she vanished, why she went off the grid? I mean, you're discovered by Jonathan Demme in a cab. Demme puts you in not one, not two, but 4 of his films. 2 of those things are blockbusters, of course, Philadelphia and Silence of the Lambs. And the other 2 are pretty nice themselves. But so you're being exposed. You spend time in Europe, as you said earlier, and then for whatever reasons you decide to just go off the grid and just disappear. Why did she make that decision, or was that decision made for her? You tell me.
Well, it was kind of a combination. There was a series of events that happened, and it was sort of like a domino effect. So it started off with, just rejection after rejection after rejection with her music, with the record labels, just sort of feeling very depressed over her career, or her lack of a career rather, when she had so much talent, and she knew she had so much talent. And then she had a very bad heartbreak. Her heart was broken by a boyfriend, and she kind of spiraled into addiction. It was sort of the tail end of the crack epidemic, and one thing led to another. She wound up being unhoused. She wound up being in jail at Rikers Island. A lot of things happened. She wound up doing sex work. A lot of things happened, and I think she didn't want people to know that Q Lazzarus had, fallen into this life, but miraculously she was able to pull herself out of it after many years in rehab and sort of what they call drug jail. And she had a son, and she was very anxious to get back to her son and to take care of her son. So when he was 6, she moved to Staten Island with her son and his father, and went back to driving cars and completely buried Q Lazzarus. Didn't even tell her son or anybody, her new coworkers, that she had been a singer. Listen to her music.
Why did she bury her former self?
I think it was too painful.
Yeah.
I think it was too painful to sort of revisit that dream that had never come true. But then when she met me and her son was sort of a senior in college, she decided, okay, maybe now I can go back to my music because, I've raised him and so we started making the film, and the plan was to, end the film with a comeback concert with her old bandmates and, put out her record and everything. And then the pandemic happened and things got derailed again.
Yeah. I'll come back to that derailment in a second here. Many of us experienced derailment during the pandemic, as you well know, so we'll come back to her particular derailment. But you mentioned earlier in this conversation that she felt some sort of way, and I suspect she had a right to feel this way, that she wasn't being as regarded as she might have been had she not been a black woman in this world of rock and roll. And I take your point, you're right, black folk invented rock and roll, so how dare somebody deny a black woman access to that space, given that we birthed it. I recognize everybody ain't Tina Turner. I get that. And yet, I'm curious as to how she felt and why, again, it was so difficult for her to, to to relive that moment, and I get why she might have buried that because it was such a horrible experience. I mean, she loved the music, but she couldn't ever really get off the ground, even with the support of a guy like Jonathan Demme bringing her to L.A., trying to help her get a record deal. It didn't happen for her. How did she process? Tell me a bit more about how she processed being denied in part because she was a black woman in this particular musical genre space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it was because she was a black woman. She was also a very large woman. She was 6 feet tall and very voluptuous. And, you know, this was also the 80s. It was a very superficial time.
Sure.
She didn't look like Whitney Houston. She wasn't doing, R&B or pop. She was doing new wave, then she was doing like heavy metal, sort of genres that were considered more white, I guess. And she had so much talent. She tried, she also did house music. She tried working different genres. And she just could not catch a break. And she says in my film, she says, the only person who tried to help me over and over again was Jonathan Demme.
Yeah. That's the Jonathan I know. That is the Jonathan that I know. He had a heart of gold. As I said earlier, I miss him dearly. You mentioned a moment ago the way you wanted the film to end. Why did it not end that way?
So the pandemic happened, and obviously, we had to stop filming for a while. Then we sort of continued, but at that point it was just me and her. I was sort of doing like camera and sound and editing and everything. It was kind of, but the film got very intimate, almost like a conversation. Like she was talking to a friend, just telling me her whole life story, mostly things she hadn't told anybody. And we were waiting for things to open up again so that we could film this concert that was going to be the end of the film. It was going to be, I was going to play with the whole Q Lazzarus part of her name. It was going to be the rise, the fall, the resurrection, and it was going to have this happy ending. She returns to her dream. Her dream finally comes true. And as you know, the pandemic, it wasn't just 2020.
Sure.
2021, people were just barely getting vaccinated. They weren't really traveling. They weren't really going to concerts. So things just kept getting pushed. And then she, this is sort of a spoiler for anyone who's going to watch the film, but she wound up breaking her leg and died of sepsis, which is also crazy. Like a 61-year-old woman in New York City should not break her leg and then never come back from the hospital. It's a lot of, I think her race worked against her, came into play many times in her life, first with her musical career, then with the legal system, because she was caught selling a few vials of crack, and her sentence was 3 to life, which is a sentence that they give people selling millions and millions of dollars of cocaine.
No question. I said many times they use cocaine in the suites and crack in the streets, and thereby you understand why the sentences are so much harsher for crack than even cocaine. But it's racist to the core, and I've talked about it more times than I can count, Eva.
Yeah.
Let me. I'm sorry. Finish your point. I'm sorry.
Then.
Eva, finish the point you're making. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to step on you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So sort of from the music industry to the legal system to the medical system, it was
race. It was a factor.
Yeah.
Let me ask you. They've got 60 seconds left here, very quick. Tell me what you. It's your film. Again, it's called Goodbye Horses: The Many Lives of Q Lazzarus. What do you hope the takeaway is for viewers about the life and legacy of one Q Lazzarus? What's the takeaway?
Well, she was an incredible talent. Her record is out now on Sacred Bones Records. She was an amazing storyteller, great sense of humor, great style. She was an incredible woman. And even though the film follows her through all of these sort of very difficult challenges, it's also an uplifting film about an amazing woman who never gave up her dream, who never let life sort of get her down. And it's streaming on Criterion Channel. It's on Amazon. It's on Vimeo, and I think it's if people want to discover this amazing singer and human being and woman, the film does that. Yeah.
Thank you, Eva, for bringing us the story of Q Lazzarus. Diane Lucky was her real name. I've said many times, each of us doesn't just have a story. Each of us is a story. Each of us is a story. And I'm glad that Eva Aridjis Fuentes has brought us the story of Diane Lucky, Q Lazzarus. It's called Goodbye Horses, streaming everywhere she just mentioned. Goodbye Horses, The Many Lives of Q Lazzarus. Eva, good to have you on. Congrats on the piece of work. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Tavis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Why does Tavis say, when we come forward? Because he's not going back. And you don't have to go back either. Forward ever, backward never. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. The Senate will vote on a Democratic plan to extend ACA tax credits for 3 years. Senator Rick Scott wants the credits replaced with Trump Health Freedom accounts.
These are clients having to choose between whether or not they're going to pay their rent or they're going to be able to pay for their health insurance premiums.
Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz warns 200,000 Floridians could see double-digit cost hikes. Mayor Karen Bass is urging the LA City Council to approve $4.4 million for the LAPD this week to avoid a hiring freeze. Bass says the funding would secure January's academy class and allow the department to hire 410 officers before the fiscal year ends in June. And LAPD is staying quiet on singer David, real name David Burke, and his alleged role in the death of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Chief Jim McDonald says speaking out could jeopardize the investigation. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers had some defensive issues last night at Crypto.com against a young and very good San Antonio Spurs team. Without star center Victor Wembanyama, San Antonio still dominated the Lakers for a 132-119 win. The Lakers were down by 20 in the third quarter. Luka and LeBron had productive nights, but it didn't make a difference. Luka finished with a game-high 35 points. LeBron had 19 points, 15 rebounds, and 8 assists. The Clippers are back in action tonight in Houston. The Clippers have only 2 wins since November 14th. Congratulations to WNBA star A'ja Wilson. The Las Vegas Aces Center was named Associated Press Female Athlete of the Year. Wilson led Las Vegas to their 3rd WNBA championship in 4 years. She led the league in scoring and block shots last season, 23.4 points per game and 2.3 block shots. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focused and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focused Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. Where unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unmint.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
With the new IHOP value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy place, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are, you guessed it, $6. And fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy place every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations. Available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
Oh, how's that flu, babe? Did you take Dayquil Intense Flu yet?
Nah, I got this. Okay, I don't got this.
You stay on the couch, and I'll grab the Dayquil.
Undo your flu symptoms with Dayquil Intense Flu. Dayquil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms. I'm ready for that to-do list.
Wow, you do got this.
Dayquil Intense Flu. The daytime coughing, aching, fever under your flu medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
And the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkies Magazine. Get tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
We close today's program in conversation with Cecil Brown, UC Berkeley professor, and Richard Pryor's longtime friend and brother, collaborator on so many great pieces of work. We close today celebrating the life and legacy of the GOAT, as this week marks 20 years since the passing of Richard Pryor. So we got to play some Richard Pryor, right? Let's start with this clip from Live on the Sunset Strip.
I live in Hawaii in a place, I wanted to go to a place where there was no vehicle, and I found a place. There's 500 people live where I live, and they're brown. And that, I like that because you can sleep at night. You know, because you live around white people in the country, anything can happen. Not that I don't trust white people, it's just that in the night, you know what I mean? I don't know, something happens to white people when you start drinking, and when you hear one of them others go,
Cecil, it's good to hear your voice for starters. How are you, sir?
I'm great. It's great to hear your voice too.
Yeah, man.
You know, it's been a minute. You know,
it has been a minute, man. It's been a minute. But when they told me you were coming on, my team said we got Cecil Brown booked. I said I'm excited already, and so here we are in conversation. I'm grateful for. I want to make the most of the few minutes that we have here in this last half hour. Just talk to me about Richard Pryor's particular and unique genius. We know he's the GOAT, but just talk to me about his genius as you have experienced it up close for so many years.
Well, I listened to that clip you just played, and it reminded me that when Richard that was when he got caught on fire, and he went to Hawaii and recuperated, and came back and did this incredible show on Sunset, right? And it reminded me of how Richard was able to recreate himself. He would, like when he was in Berkeley and we were hanging out, and he was obsessed by how to make a movie, how to really break into Hollywood on his own terms. And we were talking a lot about folklore. Of all things, I was teaching folklore at the university, and I had in my company Claude Brown, who wrote Man, Child, and the Promised Land, who was a great street philosopher, and so many stories. So he and Richard and I used to kick back and just go out on folklore. And Richard came up with Mudbone. Mudbone was the real turn at my first college. I was shocked because he had taken all of that Claude and I had talked about Afro-American folklore and incorporated into a form like the Mudbone. So then after that, Richard went down to L.A. and he got caught into a scam about he owed the government like $200,000. And this is the first example of what I wanted to tell your audience about what Richard Pryor really was like. After we didn't know anything about this, he was sentenced to 10 days in jail. Well, now, the average person would be blown out by that and just like, wow, that's incredible. But Richard turned it into something that was better than when he went in jail. He got Flip Wilson to come to the jail and put on a performance. 300 dudes showed up, man. Of course they showed up because they were all in jail. Oh, yeah. It turned out to be the most wonderful thing, man. And so Richard was like a shaman, that he could take something that would be very negative and flip it. So in writing my book, I said, I got to write about something that will give the essence of what really was like. And that, I think, was the essence. Richard was like a shaman. He would turn the audience upside down, and when he finished with them, they were the better. In many cases, he was the worst. That is, he would give up so much of himself to bring people back to their righteousness that he would deplete himself, too, of it. But, of course, Richard was amazingly a funny person to be with. He was a joy. After I met him in Berkeley, he called me up and told me to come down to Hollywood and let's make some movies. I did that, and we worked on the film that, which was included a lot of my writing about the folk characters. I wrote so much about folk characters that Richard said, I'll do 3 parts. Yeah. And he did, and of course, it was very successful. But once again, he went to the Hollywood Bowl to give a talk. Lillian Thompson had been asking him to come and Richard and give, do a free concert for, people at, Hollywood Bowl. And when he went there,
he went in that night. See, so he went in that night.
He went in that night.
Man.
And what happened was, again, he was thrown into the pits of hell when all these gay people started yelling, get him off the stage and all that. And he turned around and said he said, you can kiss my rich, happy black ass. And I used that for the title of my book because it was a kind of what would you call it? It was kind of the spirit of Richard because he knew that he was right and they were putting him down for the wrong reason. But the next day, we were supposed to release Which Way Is Up, and I was very upset. So I went out there to see him out to his house, and I walked out there, and he was sucking on a martini, or actually gin and juice, and I said, Richard, what's going on? He said, man, I got to apologize. And I said, apologize for what? And he said, man, I fucked up. And I said, no, man, you don't have to apologize for that. You remember, I met you in Berkeley, and you were sleeping on this guy's sofa, man. And now look at you. You got a $500,000 house. You can always come back from this shit. And he said, man, you know what? You're right. He reached over, got the phone, and he called to the L.A. Station, L.A. Times, and he got the editor, and he said, look, I'm not apologizing for shit. Fuck you. Slammed the phone down. The next day, man, they opened up Which Way Is Up, and the rest is history, bro.
When we come forward, now we come forward and do it right now. It did come out the very next day, and it took off. Here's some sound now from Which Way Is Up.
What happened to your arm?
Trying to protect myself from them goons. They come at me like that, I put it up here and I put it up like that. Damn. I'm trying to tear it off, too. I shook his hand. I was right up there with him, raw wares and me. I'm going to be on TV. I wish we had a TV, Pop. Bet I can see myself on television. Yeah, the nigga going to be famous, all right. Going to be the first one to ever see his own funeral on TV. What makes you say that, Pop? Mean what I said. You got a death wish. What harm can it be to have my picture in the paper? That ain't none of your concern. It's twins from Mexicans and white folks.
Calm down, Daddy.
And I'll tell you another thing. Somebody stole my piece of chicken.
It was 20 years ago this week that we lost the GOAT, Richard Pryor, more with his friend and brother and collaborator Cecil Brown when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley. An official message from Medicare.
Couple more minutes, and we'll start this month's book club.
You know, I usually love a plot twist, but this year, I'm comparing my options during Medicare open enrollment.
You can't assume your current health or drug plan is the best one for you.
And you gotta make sure your drugs are covered. That's important.
So is saving money.
Review all your options at Medicare.gov. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
If a Lenovo computer for your business is on your holiday list, don't shop around. Just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com. It's your last chance to get exclusive deals on the PCs you want for your business, like the ThinkPad X9 14 Aura Edition and Yoga 7i 2-in-1. So avoid all that shopping chaos and price comparing, and just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com, where PCs are up to 35% off. That's Lenovo.com.
Lenovo. BET and PBS, the Tom Joyner Morning Show, and NPR, the cover of Jet and the cover of Time. #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list, 20 honorary doctorate degrees, a dozen NAACP Image Awards, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. From talk shows to talk radio, nobody's ever done it better. This is Tavis Smiley.
I got the champagne. Everybody can laugh.
KBLA Talk 1580 congratulates our own Keith Underwood, host of the weekend entertainment show Black in the Green Room, on his recent honor at the annual National Arts and Entertainment Journalism Awards. Keith received the First Place Award presented by the Los Angeles Press Club for his entertainment reporting, and we couldn't be prouder. Congratulations, Keith, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement. Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do you do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Cecil Brown, UC Berkeley professor, Richard Pryor's longtime friend, brother, and collaborator. As we close today's program, celebrating the life and legacy of the GOAT, who passed away 20 years ago this week. Hard to believe. In part, it doesn't feel like 20 years because every time I talk to a comedian, Pryor's name comes up. I've never in my life. I mean, I can go from Chappelle to Bob Newhart. I mean, literally, everybody has Pryor on their list as the GOAT, and it was 20 years ago this week that we lost him. We wanted to spend a little time just celebrating one of the two freest black men that I've ever talked about or come in contact with, Richard Pryor and Muhammad Ali, both two free black men, as Pryor was that night on stage at the Hollywood Bowl when he went in and totally kissed his behind. Anyway, I digress. I want to play a clip right quick of Donald Trump earlier this week, and just listen to it. You probably heard it already. It's gone viral. Take a listen to the clip, and I'll tell you why I'm playing it when we come forward.
Let me tell you, black people love Trump. I got the biggest vote. I got the biggest vote with black people. They know a scam better than anybody. They know what it is to be scammed. Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's Donald Trump earlier this week saying how much we, black people, love him. We love Donald Trump. We love Donald Trump. So says Donald Trump. That's earlier this week. This is 1977 when Richard Pryor on the...
May I have your attention, please? Ladies and gentlemen, the 40th President of the United States.
Mr. President, Tom Matthews, UPI. Mr. President, earlier this year you said that you would travel anywhere in the world to further the cause of peace. Considering the worsening situation in the Mideast, are you planning a trip there in the near future?
We have no definite plans as of yet to go to the Mideast, but we do plan maybe perhaps in a couple of years if the settlement and the agreements have not been reached by that time.
Thank you.
Paul Oraki from Honolulu News. Mr. President, the Senate has voted to proceed with development of the neutron bomb. Don't you feel this will impede further progress in the SALT talks with the Russians?
Quite contrary to that fact. The matter of nuclear existence deals with atoms and atomic weapons, not with neutron weapons. The neutron bomb is a hold-cost weapon. It is not in the cellular realm of reality. We're trying to hold it in place, and it's a neo-pacifist weapon.
This is Pryor in 77 playing the first black president. See, so there was nothing that Richard couldn't do, man. I mean, nothing. Cecil, are you there? Can you hear me now? We've lost Cecil. What a way to close the show. We're trying to celebrate Richard Pryor, and we've been talking with Cecil Brown, again, UCLA Berkeley professor, his longtime friend and collaborator. I wanted Cecil on because it's hard to find anybody who knew him better, spent more time with Richard than Cecil did. So, when we come forward, our remaining moments of Tavis Smiley's program for this day.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do you do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit CareerOneStop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit CWDB.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to EWDB.LACity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All of these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action.
Kohl's Customer Appreciation Event is here, right in time for the gift exchange. Even though everyone pretends gifting isn't a competition, it kinda is. At Kohl's, save on gifts everyone will fight over. From sweaters and flannels to air fryers, toaster ovens, and more. Because deep down, the gift exchange isn't just about giving. It's also about winning. Shop Kohl's and save on top gifts now. Select styles, some exclusions apply. Offers end December 14th. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Less monologue, more dialogue. Tavis Smiley continues right now.
So, Cecil, I played this clip from '77 on Richard Pryor show where Richard was playing the first black president, and I came back to you, and you were gone, and I said, "What happened to Cecil?" I said, "I hope he didn't tell us to kiss his rich, happy black A and hang up on us."
Beautiful, beautiful.
So I'm glad we got you back for these last 5 minutes here. I was saying a moment ago when you weren't there, after playing that clip, I mean, it's just fascinating to play that clip from '77 when Richard, again, on the Richard Pryor show on NBC, is playing the first black president in this skit. And it just underscores for me that there was nothing that Pryor could not do, Cecil.
Absolutely, and I think that was channeling Obama, even though he was not there yet.
Yeah.
It was preparing us for this absolute genius that was going to happen to us and was happening in comedy. The Trump thing was ridiculous propaganda and very racist as it is now.
Yep.
I think that we've gotten to a point where we have, for example, your voice coming back gives us reboots our connection with popular culture. And that's what we got to concentrate on. Things have not changed that much from the point of view of white racists in Hollywood and in academia. They've gotten even worse. But I think that we're going to restart again. I have a book on James Baldwin's coming out in a couple of weeks, and I'd like to come back on your show and talk again about another genius that we have to acknowledge, because they gave us the future. Even though they're not able to share it with us, they gave it to us, and that's what we have to celebrate. And I think I congratulate you for doing it.
No.
Because
never too many James Baldwin conversations. So no, I'll talk to our producers, and we'll get a copy of the book. Give me a chance to go through it and look at it, read it, and then we'll get you on here. But trust me, I accept. If it's about Baldwin, I accept the invitation to have you come on to talk specifically about Baldwin. I'm watching my time here. You said earlier in this conversation, Cecil, that one of the things that was important to Richard was to do things to show up on his own terms. Tell me more about that.
Well, as you already indicated, Richard was given a lot of unfair deals in Hollywood, and he would never make a film that he himself did not want to make. So, as a consequence, he had a lot of bad reputations about this and that, but they were never true. It was only Richard trying to get the road clear so that he could really do his work. Often, it was fights with producers, fights with writers, fights with actors. The movie Blue Collar was a disaster because from the point of view of creativity, the director, Paul Schrader, stole the script from a black writer to make the movie and then didn't want to pay the actors. And so Richard got into a lot of fights with him. Yeah. But in the end, it turned out to be a good film. And all the stuff that Richard did to make it right was forgiven. Yeah. So the film worked, but only because Richard had to, he had to go ballistic on them sometimes in order to get it right. But
everybody refers to Pryor as the GOAT. There's no question about that. What's your sense of how Pryor saw his place in comedy? How did he see his place in comedy?
Well, what Richard saw was his voice, and that was a voice that had been laden in black culture from a long time. And I mentioned Mudbone, but Richard was in touch with the ancestors. He knew, for example, Burt Williams. I introduced him to Burt Williams, and we had planned to make a film about it. The last time I saw him, he said, I regret that we didn't make that film. Richard was in touch with our voices that came from slavery, which kept us alive. And I think we got to return back to that. Yeah. And but I think one thing that's unfortunate is that when young people like Ryan Coogler, when they really get something, they don't know from whence they got it. They joined the Hollywood plantation, and everybody's very excited. Ryan Coogler was my student here at St. Mary's College. But the point is, young people got to realize that people like Richard Pryor, those are people who helped us get through. When people want to make a film about black people, they got to remember the voice of Richard Pryor and Paul Mooney. Because these are the ones that we have to return to again and again and again. And Richard saw himself in that tradition.
No, he is the GOAT, and that Mudbone character, one of the best characters he's ever created. It resonates even all these years later. Cecil Brown, UC Berkeley professor, Richard Pryor's longtime friend and collaborator. Thank you for these reflections on Richard Pryor, man. I'll talk to you soon, and when that James Baldwin book drops, we'll get you back on here. I love talking about Baldwin, so we'll do it then. Just like that, 3 hours are gone. Tomorrow's Friday, so tomorrow the best of Tavis Smiley on these stations. We'll try to reprise 3 of our best hours from this week, and there's some good ones this week, so we'll do that. But if I get off the air here, see what the best of is going to be tomorrow. But until next time, thanks for tuning in to Tavis Smiley, and as always, keep the faith.